Good morning, everybody. John Stokely here with GAI Insights with our Gen AI news briefing, where we rate the top news from essential to important and optional to give you both advice and time back. We're delighted to have Ashish Bhatia from Microsoft today. He's a product manager, and he's going to help us rate some of the news and also maybe correct a little of the past where he thinks we've gone awry. So lovely to have a new voice there. Ashish, welcome.
Thank you, John. I'm delighted to be here.
All right, Akash, could you kick us off with the first article, please? And David DeLallo will take us through our dance of content.
Well, before we do the new ones, John, do we want to do yesterday's revisit?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So yesterday we talked about OpenAI's model spec that they released to show how they want to influence the Gen AI's behavior in certain directions, and I believe we called it optional. And Ashish, you took issue with that and felt we should go essential. So we wanted to hear your argument for essential.
Thanks, David. Whenever OpenAI publishes something specifically on the side of developer-oriented articles, I tend to take note because somehow that shapes how we develop applications on top of it. Yesterday or 2 days ago, actually, they released something called model spec. And probably a week ago, they released something called instruction hierarchy paper. One of the things that we struggle with when talking to LLMs or when making calls to LLMs is LLMs don't have a distinction between instruction and data, right? So you, beyond, let's say, system instruction, you take user instruction or builder instruction and data, and it goes as a part of the same package. So the LLMs have no way to kind of make any distinctions. Why it is important is you can have third-party data. Maybe you're trying to summarize an article, maybe you're trying to summarize an email or a blog post or extracting insight from some data. If you don't own that data, you don't know the efficacy or lineage of that data, right? And it could be compromised data. We call this cross-domain prompt injection, or UPIA. Sorry, XPIA, cross-domain prompt injection. UPIA is jailbreak, when as a user, I'm intentionally trying to get something wrongful out of the model, versus XPIA, you have all the right intentions, but the data that you're kind of leveraging, summarizing, extracting, that might be compromised and you have no clue of it, right? So when that data and instruction goes part of the same package, there is no information hierarchy at the model level, and this is changing. They're changing it with something called instruction hierarchy, where different entities in the ecosystem will have different priority levels, and if there is conflict of intention, that can be resolved. So they've introduced with the model spec 5 roles. Platform, which is OpenAI, right? So they give certain guardrails to the model. Then is developer. Anybody who's developing on top of that API will have priority after the platform. And then is users. So you created a chatbot, your users are asking for stuff, they have the next priority. Then comes assistant and tools. Tools have the last kind of priority in this hierarchy. So if you let's say we go to agentic times, right, and agents are communicating, right, they will have lower precedence as compared to a platform. And in case of conflict, this hierarchy of platform, developer, user, tools will take action or come into effect, right? So if user intention is in conflicting with developer intention, right, that the developer intention will take precedence. So if you have built, let's say, a homework kind of an assistant, and the student says, hey, just give me the answer, right? Whereas as a developer, you've said, hey, assist the user, but don't give them the answer, right? Have them do the exercise, so the developer will take precedence. So that's one. Second is they're introducing concept of something called content, right? So in the messages today, we have different roles and the messages, but they're creating roles, recipients, content, settings, and end turns. Content is a mandatory field, and all the data goes there. So there is inherent separation between instruction and data. And I feel that is going to be super important how we develop our applications on top of these APIs, and others will follow too. So that's why I feel if you're a developer on top of LLMs, you should take note of this.
All right. It's a pretty solid argument. I think the AI leaders should understand what the developer is dealing with, and this could be a helpful thing for them. So thanks for sharing.
What was the timing of this? Was this just, I can't remember now. This was just a paper, Ashish, or is this rolling out, or will this be real?
The paper came last week. It's called Instruction Hierarchy paper from OpenAI. And the model spec came, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah, the model spec announcement didn't call out any of that. I opened the document itself, and it also didn't quite call it out. So you're operating on a much deeper level, I think, of understanding that was that I was able to glimpse on not reading it in detail. So yeah, this is a very solid argument that we should rate it higher than optional for sure.
You know, I'm really glad you're here, Ashish, because after our interaction on LinkedIn, I went back and clicked through, as we see on the page there, where it says model spec, and I reread the actual spec and still couldn't understand what you were getting at. Right. And now going back and looking at it and seeing the one section where it talks about within definitions about the roles within conversations and the content within conversations. You know, you're going like 3 layers. It's not on this page even, Ankaj. It's at the top if you click
when you go up
to the model spec. Then now I understand. No, at the very top, Ankaj, there's a link that says model spec.
That white little button, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll actually open another page, which is the details of it, where it gives the specifications about the role and the content. But even reading that, I didn't get this depth of insight. So I'm really glad you're here to explain that for us.
Yeah.
Inside scoop.
So, so this is a new crossroads for us of going back to a day before and changing the rating. So Luda and Adam, are you convinced, and have we been corrected by our audience?
Right. So
Yes.
What we usually do, we actually separate somewhat the development level articles and the exec level. Like we're trying to focus on the audience of AI leaders. It's not optional, I would say. I'm convinced it's not optional. I'm not sure I would go to essential for the leader to read this particular description. I would certainly go to important.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would recommend that you use a large language model to explain the model spec.
That's right.
Robots to the rescue.
We'll call it important, and we will ask people to watch this segment. We'll give the timestamp of it in our newsletter today, because that's definitely more informative, apparently, than the actual spec itself. All right, thanks so much, Ashish. Let's go ahead and dive into today's articles. What do we have first on, Kaj?
Okay, so the first one that we have for today is a leaked deck from OpenAI, which highlights how OpenAI is pitching publisher partnerships and how it is offering incentives to publishers to provide them their data with better results in what the LLM generates as an output.
All right, Luda, you're first up on this one.
Okay. I rated this as optional. Ashish might push back on this. But I mean, knowing and having signed a lot of licensing agreement, there's nothing really out of the ordinary in the structure that this particular leaked deck provided. It seems like a reasonably normal structure with some complexities put in. So it's not out of the ordinary that OpenAI wants to get the content wants to provide more better user experience using this content for the licensee. And so all of that is, I think, very normal. So optional for me.
I'll say one thing that I thought that this agreement signaled pretty clearly, and we've been hearing the rumors about it for the last week or so, is OpenAI kind of moving toward a bit of a search model. I thought that I gleaned that from the way that these were structured in terms of talking about how the links would be branded, etc. Some of that is not happening now. So it felt to me that maybe this is yet another signal that that is coming. I don't know if anybody else agrees or kind of got the same impression.
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah,
we will do an article later, right? What you research and all of that. So it's, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was at least important. And also, you know, with Ashish's explanation of how the hierarchies are working, because I was trying to imagine how this is actually going to work, how you're going to have content that gets more targeted in the context of the model. But I can imagine if you have a kind of hierarchy presentation or hierarchy of logic that we're just talking about, you could do that. Yeah, I thought it was at least important, you know, in terms of where they're headed. You know, it's going to be an ad-driven model. They're competing with search. You know, they're already out there pitching it. You know, strategically, it's kind of interesting. I don't know where their lawsuit is with New York Times, but you know, I think they're using their market power in a kind of interesting way. You know, go after everybody else while you're busy, you know, litigating with some of the big guys.
All right, we have a vote for important. I'm saying important as well because of what I articulated, just to get some potential more confirmation that we're, you know, heading into this era that we all kind of saw coming, where search is going to change. Paul, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I apologize. I just stepped away for a second. Did you talk about these? I don't know. Is it on the list? The rumors of the search that OpenAI is coming out with? Is that on today's list?
Well, where I was saying this leaked deck seems to indicate, based on the structure that they have posed with the publishers, that the search is probably coming from OpenAI. It seemed to confirm it.
Okay, yeah, no, there was another one flying around last night. Maybe it didn't get on the list, talking about they've got an offer coming out next week that's going right after Google's SGE.
Yeah. Supposedly it was supposed to happen this Thursday, and then they pushed it out, or that was another rumor that I had seen around. Okay, so we will go with, I'm going on the gavel on important on this one, and we will push on to the next one.
Great. Let's keep driving, guys. Get a lot of time left.
Okay. So the next one is around an agency called Edvon. So they are using AI-powered content and are infecting the media industry. So they provide fake writers, fake reviews, and all of that stuff.
John, what did you think?
Yeah, look, this is a long, very nicely researched article. You know, I thought that I rated it at least important because of the texture it gives someone. You know, in terms of how these content farms work. You know, this particular guy, I was kind of sad to hear. I guess the CEO is a Harvard Business School grad, which, you know, seems to put him in the category of a Jeff Skilling or somebody like that. But they, you know, they're using bots. They're claiming they're not. You know, you know, they're selling access to product reviews. This is also related to best reviews. So, you know, you have real conflict of interest in the reviewing organization and the content and the reviewing organization. I mean, the organization, the reviewing organization, and then you've got, in addition, you know, people are writing reviews on products they've never touched. It's just, yeah, you know, it's just a pretty lurid description of the gross underbelly of you know, the new form of you know, media manipulation. So I thought it was important. I thought it was well researched. Clearly not written by a bot, or if it's written by a bot, it's written by the best bot that I've seen. So I'd give it important.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I have kind of known that's going on, but now thinking about how it's supercharged and realizing the level of publisher that is engaging in this was definitely a surprise to me. And, you know, it's just going to explode now, right? I mean, the ability to do this is now at scale is how many times what it used to be. Any other ratings on this one? Nope. Okay, we will go with important and we will move on to the next one.
Okay.
Wait,
So
Adam, this is Friday, right? So Adam, we start Monday with like everything's optional, and then we kind of end Friday where everything's like important and urgent or super essential.
Hey, speak for yourself. If you look at my ratings over the week, I don't think they have this great inflation trend.
I think we're just finally like got the beat down by John that we were being too harsh, and I feel like we've elevated our ratings in general a little bit more over the last week or two. So, but yes, we do have that trend, Paul. Okay, what's up next here, Ankash?
yeah. So the next one comes from California. So the government is trying to use GenAI to increase service access and reduce traffic jams.
All right, Ashish, you're kicking us off on this one.
Thank you, David. And Paul, I'm going to mix it up. I read this article last night. I feel it's a great initiative. I think one of the things I always say is, and this is true for government as well, that the best way of learning something, getting deep on something, is start experimenting with it. And we see California is getting in that direction where they are saying that they will leverage AI to do things like road safety, traffic jam, provide tax guidance, and building government services, public services using AI is great, because that is one way government gets to understand how AI works and how it can be applied to A, serve public, B, create an opinion around how to govern it, how to regulate it long term, right? Get a better understanding of what AI can do and cannot do. So super interesting initiative. I feel others should follow suit as well and take note and lead from this. I'll still call this out as an optional.
Yeah, right.
With optional.
Luda, what do you think?
I agree with optional, even though it's an important effort and every state should be following, but and have AI initiative, but optional.
But from a politician's standpoint, John, it feels shrewd. So all the good stuff will come from robots, but if they screw up, it's a robot's fault. It's not the elected bureaucrats or the employee workers. So I'm still waiting for the backlash. I agree with Ashish. It's great to see efficiency hopefully coming, but I'm waiting for the backlash for the politicians.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's going to be interesting is that one of the few heavily unionized parts of our country now is, is government workers. And I think they're going to push, and you look at government, I think it's incredibly susceptible to labor productivity increases through AI. So I agree with you, Paul. I think we're going to have a heavy, I mean, if I were running unions, I'd be, this is where I'd, make my stand, would be to really work hard with, the government workers to push back against this, because I think you could run governments with, I don't know, pick a number, 25. You can run a bunch of these bureaucracies with, a third of the people, half of the people, quarter, who knows?
How about just DMVs, John? 50 DMVs in every state could be 5 times better with a third of the staff.
Yeah, no, but they're, they're heavily unionized, and, they have great benefits. They're going to fight hard.
Great. Keep driving, David.
All right, Paul, we're fine on time. We got 11 minutes. I got you. What's next?
Okay, so the next one comes from Perplexity and SoundHound AI. So SoundHound AI is including Perplexity across various devices and cars and IoT as well.
Luda, you're up.
Yeah, I was between optional and important, ended up on important. The reason being is because this is actually leading the way of sound and search and the capability that is sort of advancing. So as we speak, essentially. So I feel that this is an important. It's a short article, and I think it is important for the audience to know that this is happening.
Okay, and I had to do this article really quickly. It's for the car, right? Is that what it's talking about? Cars specifically?
IoT devices. It's actually will be pretty pervasive. Any device that you can talk to will be in this.
Okay, interesting. So I guess Perplexity wants to kind of stay behind the scenes. So it's just an interesting move by them, because they could feasibly just put this functionality into their product themselves, right?
Correct, but the sound, this particular company is actually very renowned. They I think power all the bots that you talk to when you dial insurance and the like. So I think this is quite an interesting combination that's coming together here.
All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
Well, I agree with that one. I mean, I think this notion of distribution, we're beginning an analysis of scaling factors, and obviously capital is one, access to data is another, size of models another, and distribution is another, right? And if this gets them better distribution, that's a big deal.
Right, but they're adding value to that relationship, right? They are adding contextual information, contemporary contextual information, and advising the user to go do this or the other thing. So this is the next level of information that is being delivered, and through just speech. So this is good news in general.
Ashish, I see you coming off mute. Did you have something to say on this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, it's a move from Perplexity. The way I've seen Perplexity is available as a SaaS service, right? I think of it as an answer engine, right? You have a question, you ask, you just get the answer, no fluff around it. And it's very good at doing that. But it has always been available as a SaaS service, right? And there's been rumors around Perplexity going to an ad model, right? And Perplexity is also called kind of the Google Compete, the next Google Compete. And one of the differentiations that they have is they don't have that ad fluff around it, right? But how do you scale, right? So there've been rumors that they will go to an ad model. Now they go into Google territory completely, right? But this move from Perplexity, which is maybe having the services also available as a platform for other AI companies, is a great move, right? That kind of broadens their customer base, their audience. And SoundHound is all about voice assistance, voice AI, right? As Luda said, right? A lot of chatbots that we talk to, there is some robotic voice talking, and which will improve in future because of the tech that's coming along. That's a lot of that is SoundHound, right? So they're bringing Perplexity's answering engine as part of that. It's a great move. I don't know if it is important, but definitely something to look at, watch out, because these kind of relationships we'll see flourishing even more.
Yeah, and this partnership should probably do them a little better than the one that they did with Rabbit R1, from what we're hearing so far.
And just a clarifying point, though, the news here is that in the partnership with Perplexity, they're going to have that real-time capability. The company itself, SoundHound, was first to market with AI voice assistants and using large language models. They're already in 12 countries and 18 languages with automotive partners. So it's not like they're actually bringing large language models to their tool as a new capability. It's about leveraging Perplexity for this real time. So when you say, is it going to be rainier this week? It has the context of being able to look at how the weather is today, look at how the weather was a week ago, and provide that sort of comparative analysis real time.
Right.
I'm still on the fence between optional and important for this particular piece of news, but
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the big deal.
I would go with important just for this point, Adam, is because think of an enterprise leader and customer service and other things where you are deploying the text bot, right? Those can be sitting using this type of capability, right? And that is quite important to know for the executive that this capability is now available with the real-time information about the query. So that is important.
Okay, I'm going to come down on important because we're starting to get long in the tooth here. We've got 2 articles left. We're going important, and we will go on to the next one. Thank you for that great discussion, everybody.
Okay, so the next one is from Vogue, and this article talks about how brands are using GenAI tools with their customers.
Okay, I saw a few essential ratings in our pre-gaming on this one. Adam, you were one of them. Tell us why.
Yeah, so I will keep it quick. I'm aware of time, but at first I saw the title. Someone just muted me. Sorry. When I first saw the title, I thought, okay, great, a few more use cases. This is going to be a nothing burger. And then as I started to crack it open, I realized that we're really seeing a corner turn here in terms of user-generated content, as well as the engagement that we're getting out of using AI in marketing and in advertising. In the article, it actually quotes some pretty impressive numbers. Versace saw an increase of over 1,400% when, rather than trying to use humans, they actually went for something that was very clearly AI generated, but went the other way and really embraced the fact that there's this new era coming. And a lot of people have seen 80+% in terms of increased engagement rates. Particularly the news from Reebok here. Selfishly, I'm really pumped on this because it's actually the holy trinity for me. It's a culmination of AI, blockchain, and the metaverse coming together to create some really, really unique new engagement mechanisms. Although it's happening under the hood, when you generate one of these new custom models using AI, it's actually minting an NFT for you. And then you get content that you can bring into games like Fortnite and Roblox and actually use your custom Reebok shoes in the metaverse. So it's some pretty amazing stuff. And especially as we've discussed a couple of months ago, what's going on with Roblox and the younger generation and the type of engagement rates that we're seeing in these video games with Gen X, it's really essential that the AI leader pays attention and starts thinking about how they can be leveraging these sorts of technologies to get this kind of engagement in their media and in their marketing.
All right, I know that John agrees, but I want to get a counterpoint, John, since we're running out of time. So does anybody feel that this is not essential?
No, I'm agreeing as well. And this is for the marketing leader. This is one-to-one at scale ability. This is certainly worth highlighting.
All right.
Yeah, one question I have is, anybody having relationships with these guys? Because I'd like to talk to them about maybe doing an HBS case on them.
Reebok?
No, not Reebok.
I actually, so the Reebok under the hood, it's actually a company called Futureverse that they're working with, and I might have some contacts in with them, so I can try and chase that down for you, John.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Okay.
There's so many dimensions to this. Anyway, I know we're running short on time. Go.
David,
Yes.
just real quickly before we leave, I just want to highlight Luda's thing because I actually think it's bigger than that. We saw Carvana do mass customization. So I think this mass customization at scale from the seller side, mass customization from the customer side, and ease of mutability and changeability going forward here is profound. And I think this idea that one size fits all is going to be a 1950s type of model 5 years from now.
I will note that they said that they haven't quite figured out how to scale creating like physical versions.
This will come. This will come because we have robots there, right? Remember?
It will come. Okay, last article, we've got Cohere with a fine-tuned command R that they're saying outperforms some of the larger models at a significantly reduced price. Sorry, I stole that from you, Ankaj. We were losing time, so I just kept rolling. And Ashish, our guest, is the first to go on this one.
Yeah, I read this one, David, to come on. Our Cohere is generally getting a lot of traction. It's the new kind of kid on the block, if you will, on the LLM kind of arena. And their models are performing really well. This is the smaller model, Command R. There's Command R Plus as well. And they're starting to offer fine-tuning of the smaller model. Again, you could go down to kind of hyperparameter tuning, and they claim that it can create 15x kind of affordability in terms of kind of building your own model. So CIOs should take notice of this. There are going to be a ton of options to build your own model or customize your own models. I know there is a lot of appetite to customize your own models. So this is one more option. It's a smaller model, do remember that. But again, I would tag this as an optional.
Optional, okay. And I'll just don't worry, we will not get cut off at 30 minutes. That does not take place anymore. We've got still viewers, so we can take our time a little bit. What do we see about this? Anybody else feel it's not optional? Wow, everybody agrees on optional, so we don't even need a lot of time on that.
Well, I just want to know, I think that's the most quiet this group has ever been, David. So it's either the end of the week or they're tired or they all have calls in a minute.
Yeah.
No, I am agreeing. It's optional. It's a smaller model. And by the fact that it will be on our list, the CIO will take a note.
Yeah, and I think everybody's aware that fine-tuning a smaller one, you can get better performance, and obviously it's going to cost less if it's smaller. Okay, I think we had some essentials here, though. No, I think we may be mislabeling one. Which is the one that we called essential? We called
second. That brands are unleashing generative AI.
Yeah,
that should be essential. Yep. There we go.
Okay. So we've got three important OpenAI's publisher leaking agreements, which lets us know they're probably going for search, as we've been hearing. Important on Advan. And I think I'm frozen.
No.
Am I unfrozen?
No, you're on.
No, you're fine.
Darn net today. Okay. I was frozen on my side. Essential, the brands unleashing customized tools for customers. And we're wrapping that up. Ashish, thank you so much. We hope you'll come back. And thank you for helping us understand the model spec that are definitely great education for us. Any announcements, Paul or John, for next week?
Yeah, so for our Monday's Learning Lab at 7 o'clock, or two things. One, we're trying to get better at social. For the listeners out there who watch it through YouTube, please subscribe to that. That's a best practice that we're not reminding users for, and it helps us on the content. On the Learning Lab on Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to have a session from Alden walking through how to use custom GPT or large language models for recruiting. And he's really broken some new ground there. And we're again getting into a real live example on transformative applications.
All right, excellent. And I am dropping our newsletter sign up in the chat. So anybody that's not signed up for that newsletter yet, you can just click that and you'll get the summary of what we discussed here today every day. We will see everybody again on Monday. Thank you all for a great discussion today. Thank everybody for watching today and this week. And we will see you Monday.
Thank you. And thanks, Ashish, for joining.
Thank you all.